So let's get into the first list from the baddest gets around. We have Damian Owens, who in 5-0-0, and I'll just show you right now. This get put up a tremendous score of 490 out of 500 total points. So he scored 4 perfect scores out here, straight dunking on people. So if we get an emergency nerf patch, we know who to blame. It's your fault. No, I'm joking. You can see right here underneath it, there was a Thousand Suns player doing great as well. So a lot of people doing strong all around. Like, for example, I've seen Custodes, one of their detachments on dispositions taking hold. They have like a 60% win rate as well. So don't freak out. There's a lot of really strong armies. Let's just enjoy the time while we're here, guys, right? Because the moment's now. But I just wanted to show you how he's doing. And let's go over his list real quick. I didn't get notes from him. If I did one day, that'd be sick, though. But starting off, our boy kicked it traditional here. Yes. So we have one gas brick, but with the mega knobs, with a power claw and a kill saw. No mob of boys. Guys, if you're new, whatever, trust me, this is a really strong, good way to still play him. Why? Well, it's much easier to hide gas in that way and then use him continuously for his wall because he's such a smaller profile. He's also tougher, at least to one shot in a sense. When he's smaller like this, because you have to get through all the rest of the list to get to him in some cases, in some matchups. And then he's actually cheaper as well, right? So instead of paying for the boys and then a character for the pain boy to stop him from being precisioned out so easily, he still has that feel no pain on the go for the rest of the game. And in this case, that means you can end up using him like, okay, he's so small that I'm just taking advantage of Makari Banner, for example. He's better into elite infantry in some cases because he has AP. It's just a good alternative, but I'm surprised and really happy to see it doing so well because most of the time people had just straight given up on using this 5-6 mega knobs with Gaz, and we're going for straight just mobs of boys. I totally think this is viable, but specifically in Freebooter crew, for reasons stated above. And the 1-1 is because depending on what targets you're going in is what's going to be better for Gaz. Then we have a Zagrat Wartsnagga brick. Really, oddly enough, this crazy get had dead shiny shooters on this. Now we're going to look to his path to victory to see on maybe what some reasons he was looking to actually have this additional shot. But it's not wrong to think that Zod and his gits would maybe use blast and then dead shiny shooters on the wall for sustain to kill like a 10-man unit of something that maybe doesn't have a great armor save, or in the orc mirror matchup where you're like, well, I'm going to get within range and be able to just make it rain on you. So that's hilarious, very unique and different. So you can see right out the gate, Damian's just in his own category of just combos, and he continued that pattern with this weird attached unit 3 and question mark 4. Because if I show you on BCP number 4, these units were all separated individually, but I think he used them all as attached units. So I'm just presuming that. Hopefully I'm right. But what he did for his attached unit 3, which this one did come together on BCP, I could show you. But he used a Big Mac with shock attack gun, and then a get spotter squig, so he's ignoring cover, a pain boy, and then a tank buster unit. That was crazy, right? And then he did a second one. It was so crazy that I double checked BCP, and I'll double check it with you right now because I was like, "What? That doesn't even. I'm not even following that, right?" So there's Gaz. There you go. Tank busters right there, right? Tank busters, pain boy, shock attack gun, and then when we look at the next one, he has another shock attack gun, pain boy, and then a tank buster down here. So that's why in my slide I just wrote it all together because I'm pretty sure he ran that as another, copy of the combo. But how crazy is that, right? Just hang with me there. The pain boy with the tank busters, is that really just for the fact that if I can at least keep a couple tank busters alive, my shock attack gun can go off again and still keep to be crazy, and then you get to bring D3 back, so you might bring back the whole unit. Also, if you're using him as a little bit further range, there's a good chance the enemy's using just small arms and just kind of piddly fire at them, and that might not clear the unit. I mean, I know personally, I know that I would always have like 1 to 3 tank buster units guys kind of left over sometimes. So yeah, I'm just wondering there. So you guys can let me know. Maybe they're missing something on there. Could be to make them tougher. Could be because they're better in combat. Bringing Thinkbusters back. It's just totally odd. And he did that twice. And then he threw the Dead Shiny Shooter enhancement on the second one. Next, he had individual character of Boss Necron and WAAAGH Gutsmech. Just that awesome dynamic duo right now. Followed by a truck, 2 Big Mech Docker rigs, a big brick of 10 flash kits, and then a Gretchen unit. I personally just automatically on my Dreadmon, my Freebooterz, on multiple of these shooting kind of combo supplements support unit that I'd want is a Docker rig or a 10 unit flash kits with Dead Shiny Shooters. Universally good in the right matchups, in the right units you want to hit with stratagem combinations. It's a super versatile and powerful unit that doesn't require a leader, and it's quite cheap. So it's ending up on a lot of these really good performing lists. So if you just use 10 flash kits, seems to be just supplementary. It's a good support and almost universal detachments. Big Mac Docker rigs still for their 115. They're getting played. Shout out to, I think it was Seth Palmer, right? We've seen on War Games Live also, where I think is his name, the Dreadmon player. He was running 3 of these. So Docker rigs still everywhere, still really good, still universal, and we love to see it. He has an odd spread here, but it's a lot of shooting. So there's a lot of shooting on here. Let's take a look at this matchup. Before we jump back into the video, transporting a full Warhammer army, especially an Orc horde, can be a battle in itself. The oTTRPGo large magnetic miniature carrying case is built to carrying armies over 3,000 points with adjustable metal trays to give you room for everything from boys to vehicles and your biggest centerpiece kits. Once your bases are magnetized, your model stays secured to the trays without being packed within foam. And because a massive army gets heavy fast, the case includes a detachable trolley handle and wheels, so you can roll the wall into your local battle. Check it out using my affiliate link in the description. It helps support WAAAGH tactics at no additional cost to you. Protect your models, save your backs, and roll into the next call of the wall. I want to go into his matchups because, a lot of people would just be like, this is an odd list. And it is, right? I mean, double Tank Buster, Painboy units, which is kind of funny in that way. So, all right, I'm going to look at his. And he huge scores. So it must have just been just rolling into people, smashing into them. I mean, imagine he's like the Painboy's in here because the Painboy just crumps on his own. So, yeah, then we go into his first game real quick. So we got Morty. I was going to say Morty and Glory. Shout out to Morty. I meant Death Guard. Death Guard with Mortadion's Hammer. We have a Lord Virulence, a Malignant Plaguecaster, double Defilers. Right away, that kind of kicked me off, right? Like I'm like, that's true. A ton of lists that I'm seeing everywhere. Ton of CSM. Ton of variations of CSM, like Emperor's Children, World Eaters, Death Guard, like you see here, and they're taking double Defilers, and something that trades out Defilers super well for the most part are like a Tank Buster unit when you have one or two of them. Just the Orcs as a whole with our shooting right now in our multi-phase potential, we're just picking up Defilers quite effectively, I've noticed. And now I'm like, okay, he has those Tank Buster bricks. He's, okay, I'm a little tracking. And then the Warhound Titan, which is just hilarious points. So he just brought a big kind of meme-ish kind of list for his first one, which helps with his 100-point win on that one. Then he goes into the second list, which is to Salamanders. So Salamanders, a sleeper kind of detachment, right? You always hear about the Ultra Smurfs and whatever, but when you have Forge Fathers and Liberian Conclave, real strong mid-table damage, good mobility combos. So we got Vulcan Heastam with Company of Heroes, Agdrax Agatone. I got that guy as a pate. And then a big brick of Blade Guard veterans. Let's see, Blade Guard Lieutenant, Agdrax. Yeah, that's probably like his main combo and counter charge. I think he gets like +1 to wound and stuff with it. And then Unit 3 is a Librarian with a big brick of Infernus. So this would be scary to like Zod's unit, for example. Very nasty in that case, but not as much to Gaz because he's with Mega Knobs this time. One Librarian brick with Stern Guard, an Intercessor squad, an Impulsor squad, one Jump Pack, double Lancer, Infernus, Speeder, Repulsors, and a Scout squad. Awesome to see here. A little different. He has a little bit fire support, some speed, small skirmishing units, some lancing tanks, but what does he even have? I mean, he has Docker rigs. Docker rigs are not great for Lancers because we got invulns. We don't die to just one of them Lancer shots. Yeah. Oh, well, it's pretty cool. Nonetheless, a lot of stuff for killing all their infantry that he has and all these little bricks that run invulns. Good always having anti-hull support such a big deal right now. And something like that big 10-man flash brick into like the Stern Guard brick or the Infernus squad. Nasty. Being able to pick Blast on there as well. All these units, because with the abundance of damage too on this list, are getting smashed up. And then when you have the ability for WAAAGH to cover that distance and hit them, guys continually walling through the mid table on them. Their flamers and such don't work as well into them. And he didn't bring, for example, the Land Raider Redeemer, right? And at least that's Overwatch kind of can hurt Gaz's brick, Mega Knob brick, but still, even then, he'll like kill 1.5 and pile through that. So he took another big fat 100 against that. Going into his third game, he went into Necrons, Star Shatter. So we have Emotech with a 10-man unit of Warriors, Catacomb Command Bars, Hexmark Destroyer, Luminor Cesaris, and the Silent King. Silent King's really important here. We got Luminor and the Catacomb Command Bars because he holds a I think they can like reduce damage and such and make people -1 to wound. So it's supposed to be like their tough one for vehicles, I think, with that command barge. And he has an aura. I have to check with that aura. It might be like a 6 FL no pain or something. Like multiple buffs. A Scarab unit, triple Doomsday Arc, Flayed One, Ophidian Destroyers, Tomb Blades, and Triarch Praetorians. These are one of those armies that I did look out for, and this is one of those units that I wanted to be able to threaten. Because there are certain Necron builds that are like, I'm just going to take the Silent King and some other tough stuff and put them in the mid-table, shoot at you from long range. When you respond, I'm going to respond back at you with triple Doomsday Arcs, and then I'm going to charge you and fight you and do stuff with the Silent King. So for a competitive list, you do want stuff that can take Silent Kings out in that case. It does, when you're playing this detachment, take a lot of commitment from like multiple tank busters. You do have the benefit, though, that generally he does come forward. People will put him on objectives. You put that at the objectives. You reroll wounds. Pure volume works a lot better on the Silent King because of his weird ablative wounds. Like his minions die, and then he himself has to die. And if he doesn't, then he starts regenning. So there's always the option that you kill everything else and then kill him later if you can somehow feed him off. But how we're looking at this list, he most likely just try to take off the king as he could earlier than not because the list revolves around him like that. And then we have wrong. Yeah, we had another guy down here. If you guys want to know, here's the other disruption player. See, we're not gonna look at him right now, but he lost his last game, so great run there. Then going to his fourth game, we have a Dark Angel. So this is the game where he lost 10 points, as in like didn't get a perfect 100. We have Dark Angels with Dark Flight Pursuit and Iron Storm Spearhead. So we have Azrael, Ancient, and then Inner Circle Companions, Lionel Johnson, Tech Marine, Intercessor, and Cursor, double basic Land Speeders, and then double Land Speeder Vengeance, followed by double Redemptor Dreadnought, and then a Storm Strike Speeder. So, I mean, what can I say, guys? Right, he just called the meta pretty right. These units do very well into everything that we're looking at here. You're looking into Dreadnoughts, well, -5 AP shock attack guns do great. Into that, bunch of Docker rigs, great for killing all these Space Marine, little crappy Space Marine bodies. Land Speeders can still get killed by the Docker rig or the flash kits themselves. WAAAGH being able to run around and fight units that are around the field setting up, and then you really have maybe a 1v1, at least in my heart, with Lionel Johnson. But the activations here, getting them to commit first though, like on your Docker rig, for example, or something, they're gonna want to commit anyways with their speeders, and then get like their reactive kind of little KG moves off on you. And what was their disposition in this one? It was a take and hold versus take and hold. So you guys are gonna bang it out in the middle anyways. So that means that Lionel is gonna come in there. But in my opinion, this is where that weird feel no pain boy comes into play, right? Because you can expose and shoot. I know, like on the wall, for example, a Redemptor Dreadnought doesn't just automatically. Maybe if it's certain rage, maybe it does. And if it has oath or something, then sure. But not every unit's gonna have oath. But if you shoot like a tank buster unit that has a pain boy on it, and then they have cover, and they have the feel no pain on them, there's a good chance that that unit has a couple guys left. Then they get to shoot again at, for example, a Dreadnought, or finish off another little speeder, stuff like that. And then you can also shoot Lionel with tank busters in that case. You still have Gaz, which is way smaller profile, so he's not as vulnerable to those land speeders. So you can start just getting charges off and smashing up into units too. So the tank busters don't even target the Dreadnoughts in that case. Gaz might be able to get through them, because you can use at least one of those Docker rigs as kind of like bait, in my opinion. Now, there is something to say that I could be wrong that this unit was even attached, and that he did something like big brain, and he intentionally had one of the trucks with like both tank buster units, and since it has a leader, it can't be attached to it. So there's a chance that that's a truth as well, right? Because we have two trucks on this list. One's taking the 10 flash kits, one's taking what, right? So there might be a case that I'm missing something, but it was just a weird kind of laid out formulation. And yes, Lionel Johnson is awesome. He's murdery and killy, and he can interject himself, but he has to be cautious because he can totally get killed by orcs multiple phases now. And the more that he's cautious with himself, and we start dismantling the rest of his support, the more that he has to heavy lift, and he can't kill like everything on his own. He runs out of kind of steam and activation. So I've learned to not overly respect Lionel, even though I respect him a lot because he's a great data sheet and he's killy. But when you have tank busters and shooting, and you can just take him down and gang up on him, and then you can charge him to stop him from heroic king, so you can still kill all his friends. There's a lot of stuff. And then we go into this last matchup, which was into the Adeptus Custodes, which, like I said, this style of Adeptus Custodes have taken hold. I'm pretty sure it has like a 60% win rate. So this was a strong one right here. We have Valerian with some Wardens, so they got that for Feel No Pain shenanigans. Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with some Praetorians, or Praetors, sorry, Praetors, 3 of them. Another unit of a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle. 1 small unit of Guardians. Triple Alaris. 2 of them is 5 and 1 is a 3. I do wonder if that would be tougher, like into Mobs of Boys, where these guys have all their blasts. Like, if these would be more problematic for Mobs of Boys, where they have big blast targets. Like, maybe that's why he chose it. Who knows? And then the Prosecutor. So that's a bit of a different custode list, at least from what I'm familiar with and I'm aware of, right? A lot of them are Guardians. A lot of them will have the jetpack dudes that can ingress. We have Wardens, for example, even Dreads. But this many Terminators I haven't seen. But what I do know about Terminators is they're pretty killy, somewhat versatile, a lot of volume of shots and stuff, and get a good amount of rerolls. So there could be something in there where that person was choosing to take that as an orc counter. That being said, definitely glad to have Gaz try to make contact with one of those Alaris bricks because of their 4 wounds of pop. And having all those Dawn Eagle jet bikes. This matchup would be quite interesting because none of our damage profiles go as clean into these guys as we typically would want them to. The one factor we have here is they only have like 3 big activations because they have their Warden brick, both of their big biker bricks, and then they also have 2 Terminator bricks they could use, I guess, as pretty big activations also. They have 5 pretty big activations. So that is a quite versatile list. I appreciate that custom list. Usually I find them all kind of boring and the samey. So it's nice to see. Could be pure volume, could be Docker rigs popped off. Flash gets maybe popped off because I know that they're strength 6, and then you could end up having their rapid fire and maybe a cover or additional AP. They would do great to Terminators as well if they ended up using. Well, I don't know about great because Terminators are T7, which is kind of cool, I guess. So this is actually quite awesome list that he ended up going into last. Sorry, guys, I had his list up. This is actually quite a decent list that he went into. So great kudos to him. Seems like he most likely played kind of a cagey game, let one of his trucks or Docker rigs, for example, go forward, and then responded and did some real serious damage first. Because he is a low model count. Though things are big and killy, like they're a low model count. You kill a couple of these Praetors from each bike unit, kill a couple of those Termies, they run out of juice in response. And hopefully WAAAGH played a part, because I feel like WAAAGH plays a part in this matchup because he's actually fast enough to make contact with the bikers first and tag them up and kill some and help kill them. But yeah, I'm not really sure with that one. I haven't played into that style of custom list. So that being said, he scored a big fat 100 on it, so it seems like it wasn't a problem for him. Excellent list, huh? Lethals, running up the field, smashing, shooting, continuously assaulting and charging people. One thing that we can point out here is no mobs of boys. So as much as a lot of the other take and hold Freebooterz Mordaka lists are rolling out, have a bunch of those mobs and such, and I think they're still quite viable and powerful. This was a really cool alternative that I wasn't expecting to see. Still had Zod in there, good epic character support, really odd tech with the Pain Boy. Really cool to see Gaz move back to the Mega Knobs in this case, and there's a lot to be said about this that even me personally don't know off the top of my head. So maybe Damien will drop a comment, let us know one day. With that being said, though, great job, Damien. The list was encouraging and shows people to really think outside of the box. Because you always see weird people that are like, what about knobs and pain boys and war bosses and stuff? And I'm like, sure, but first time seeing people say, hey, what about tank busters and tank busters and pain boys? So very new, very awesome to see. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!